Hey guys, it's Michael here from GuitarGate.com, and I wanted to jump on here and make a video about the most important thing that you should be working on when you learn guitar. And it's a funny thing that I should make a video like this, but I did an interview with PRS Guitars not too long ago, and they asked me this. They said, if you could tell your students or anybody learning the guitar to focus on just one thing, what's the very most important thing they should be focusing on? And I thought about it, and the answer is really, in my opinion, to just keep it in your hands. Yeah, you got to learn scales, you got to learn chords, you have to learn music theory, you got to train your ear, you got to learn songs, you got to gig with a band, you got to do exercises. There's endless amounts of things to work on. But it is my opinion that the ultimate goal of any musician, any artist, anybody who's creative, and it's that creative passion that drives them to do this, is to have the channel between what you hear in your head and what you can get out as wide open as possible, so that there's, the least interference, the least barriers, the shortest path between what you hear in your head and what you can actually make with your fingers, or sing if you're singing, right? And I have found that more than anything else, the best way, the most effective way to start sounding like you, to be able to play without thinking, to be able to be creative, is simply keeping it in your hands. I'll tell you what I'm talking about. So, the bulk of my 10,000 hours, if you've read that Malcolm Gladwell book, was spent when I was younger, middle school and high school, before YouTube, before GuitarGate, before Facebook and all these other things, where guitar content was rampant. Basically, when I wasn't at school, I would have the guitar strapped on my back, and I'd wander around the house and listen to the radio. There was no iTunes, no iPads, anything like that. And if you didn't have the money to go out and buy CDs, basically you listened to the radio and you tried to pick up what you could, but because you couldn't stop and rewind. And that is basically how you heard and learned songs if you didn't have the money to have like a 10,000 CD collection, right? So all the time when I wasn't at school, it would be strapped on my back. So I'd be listening to the radio, trying to pick up pieces of songs here or there, or just noodling, sitting on the couch watching TV, noodling, doing absolute nothingness, doing dishes, have it literally just hanging off my back. And a lot of the times, I'd fall asleep playing, and so I'd sleep with the guitar, wake up, and kind of noodle around, and sure, there would be practicing in there, and I did take lessons, but the main thing that I noticed is that because I spent so much time with it physically in my hands, at a certain point it crossed over and it didn't feel like this foreign object anymore. It didn't feel like the thing was fighting me as much anymore. I still had to think very hard because I was untrained with music theory. I didn't know how to read, so on and so forth, because I was self-taught. I still had to fight to figure that stuff out, but I didn't have to fight too much to make my hands do what I wanted them to do. I didn't have to fight too much to feel like I was in control of the strings, in control of my bends, like I had a vibrato that was developing, that was kind of all my own. I really, when I was 17 or 18 or 19, really began to feel that, I was beginning to sound like me and not just, a little bit of this person there and a little bit of that person there. And it is my opinion. And again, you can take this with a grain of salt. I mean, this is a video on YouTube and Facebook and whatever. But it is my opinion that is the reason I think a lot of us play. That's the ultimate goal, to try to get what we hear inside out. It's that artist-driven passion thing. And you got to do your homework. You can't beat playing with a live band. You got to gig. You got to study this, that, and the other. But more than anything, if you want to develop your own sound, your own touch, your own vibrato, so that when people, hear you on a record or see you live, they say, "Oh, that's that dude." I'm telling you, just keep it in your hands.